Hey everyone, I'm Sarah Lavonne and welcome back to my YouTube channel. We are back for part 2, all about newborn sleep. So if you haven't seen part 1, make sure you pause this video right now, head on over to part 1 and check that out. But today I'm gonna be telling you all of my tips for sleep during the postpartum period right after you have a baby so that you can survive this very weird era of time, but also thrive and be able to bond with your baby and remember most of it if possible. But before I get started, make sure you subscribe down below, give it a like, share it with a friend, make sure you follow me over on Instagram, and then let's get to it. I want to help you sleep because I know sleep is essential for our own thriving lives, and I want you to be able to thrive in the postpartum period with your new baby so that you can bond, so that you can kind of figure out what this new life looks like. So first and foremost, I want you to plan ahead. If you are pregnant right now, great. If you're not, hold tight because I'm coming back around for you, okay? But if you are pregnant right now, I want you to first of all watch part 1 so you have realistic expectations of what sleep looks like for a newborn. And 2, I want you to be thinking about and talking with your support team, whether that be a partner or a family member or a friend or a nanny or whoever kind of help you have, of how you're going to manage the shift in sleep. I want you to think about and ask yourself the question, how do I do on a little bit of sleep? Am I okay? I know for me, I feel like I've trained myself, thanks to being a nurse and working night shift forever, that like I can do very well on about 4 hours of sleep. I frequently am awake for over 24 hours, 40 plus hours with my clients. Now I want to die after that. Like I have to go home and sleep. So being awake without any naps is insane to be awake that long. But you know yourself, you know if you're one that needs a lot of sleep or you can manage a little bit of sleep. What I will say, no matter what, that even if you're that person that can manage on a little bit of sleep, you can only do that for so long. And so sort of anticipating your baby's needs, anticipating how you will have help and how you will share the load. I know that sounds very simple, but that is going to be essential. Who can you call when you had a rough night and you were up cluster feeding every hour and you were like, I need an hour, and you can't put your baby down, especially if you're a single parent? Do you have somebody? Do you have resources around you? Do you have somebody to call in, a family member, a friend that could just take the baby from you so you can go turn off the lights, put on your covers, put on your sound machine if you have to, some like healthy sleep habits to really just be able to check out? Now, the other side note is if you're unable to sleep, even when your child is well taken care of, that might be just a little alert. Hey, maybe there's some postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety or postpartum OCD going on. Because really, if you have that care around you that you trust and you know you can kind of let go of your baby and they're going to be okay in their hands, you really should be able to sleep. And so there may be something going on in your nervous system that's causing you to still not be able to sleep. And sometimes it takes a while to kind of come down off the high and the adrenaline, but you should be able to go to sleep, okay? So I'll list some resources down below for you to check out if you feel like that might be you, okay? Because that's just a side alert. There is no shame in any kind of perinatal mood and anxiety disorder. So that's anxiety, that's depression, that's obsessive compulsive, bipolar, whatever. That this is so incredibly normal to feel overwhelmed, to feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do it. But partially sleep is preventative for your mental health, okay? Total side note, total rant. Hear me out, plan ahead, have somebody you can share the load with. And maybe they're not consistent help, but at least you know you have your list of 3 to 5 people that are your phone of friends. Like, I had a rough night, can you come in and just help me get over this one hump? Knowing that if you get a nap in, say you even skip the breastfeeding and give a bottle, for instance, that if that's what your mental health needs, we need to be able to give each other so much grace that sleep is foundational to you taking care of yourself so that you can give the best care for your baby. That's okay. You can prioritize your needs. Now, we have to balance, though, that like physiological need for your baby to be awake every 2 to 3, 2 to 4, 2 to sometimes 5 hours if you're lucky. And so what that means is that we have to plan ahead pre-pregnancy. And now for those of you that have had your babies, or you're anticipating having your baby, you have to plan in your sleep. Okay, hear me out. I think I sort of talked about this in my 5 tips for postpartum, but I'm going to expand on it today because this to me is so incredibly helpful in going into the postpartum period and anticipating your sleep. While you are breastfeeding or after your feed and you know that you're going down with your baby, by going down, I mean go to sleep, they go to sleep, you take a nap, you wake up, and during that feed, I want you to anticipate, what do I need to do in my life so that I can plan in my naps. Naps are going to be survival for you. Remember I talked about in the last video of tracking your sleep? Well, this goes for the fact that if you are napping throughout the day, and normally we're used to like sleeping through the night. Who naps anymore? I know I probably need to, but I don't nap right now. But if you throw in a 1-hour nap here, a 2-hour nap there, a 30-minute nap there, cumulatively, you've just added hours of sleep to your bucket of sleep for the entire 24-hour period. You have to anticipate napping. So that also means, how do you plan ahead where the baby's going? Now, if you're alone, no problem, right? That while you're feeding, you either, prior to starting feeding, you grab yourself a sandwich, a snack, something from the fridge, you order your food, make sure you're eating. Make sure you grab yourself a big thing of water, some sort of liquids, because especially if you're breastfeeding or even if you're bottle feeding just in life, right, that you really need those fluids to stay nice and hydrated. It helps with your recovery. So you just imagine when you're feeding your baby, whether breast or bottle, doesn't matter, that you have your snack, you have your water, so your needs are taken care of. Then maybe think about while you're feeding, as you're bonding with your baby. I'm not saying don't like ignore your baby, but like bond with your baby and then go, okay, what's on my mind? Do I have a load of laundry to change? Have I not showered in 5 days and I'm desperate for a shower? Do I have an email to respond to? Or did I miss 15 phone calls and one of those is urgent, okay? Anticipate, what do I need to do the moment I put my baby down to sleep, okay? You're done feeding, burp, burp, change a diaper, swaddle, in the bassinet, and now you know there's not a 15 minutes on Instagram, I'm gonna take a poop and scroll for a while, and next thing you know, it's been 40 minutes, which is not good for your hemorrhoids if you have them, or even if you don't have them. And then you're like, oh, let me grab that sandwich, and you make yourself a sandwich, eat it, takes 10, 15 minutes, and next thing you know, your baby is awake again, and you're back at it. And very quickly, you've missed that window for your nap. So instead, while you're feeding, you have somebody bring you your food, you have it ready, there to go. You go, okay, I'm swaddled, I'm gonna pee, I'm gonna change the laundry, and I am in bed. If the dishes need to be done, and that's essential, you literally have nothing to use, then do them. But are there things around your house or things that you could prioritize about your life that could wait? Or maybe you really want to return the 15 phone calls. 15 phone calls is a lot of energy to put out at that point. Prioritize it, and then when you call the person, be like, hey, I got 10 minutes. I'm really trying to get a nap in before my kid wakes up again. You give them 10 minutes, you set the boundary, and then you're done, and then you lay down. Even 20 minutes is gonna make a difference for you, okay? And then just remember, put your baby down. Your baby, as much as you want to hold them, and you can, I'm not telling you you can't hold your baby. Please hold your baby, please love them. You cannot spoil a newborn. If you wanna hold them the whole time or pass them off and hold them the whole time, as a newborn, that's totally fine. That's good for their attachment and development. But also, I think parents a lot of times get really I can't put my baby down. I'm scared about leaving them in a room or whatever. This is why there's baby monitors. But if they're on their back, nothing in their crib, they have all their safe sleep practices, then put them down and walk away, or put them down and lay in bed, right? And put on that sound machine. I love the use of a sound machine because it drowns out all the little that wake us up that really don't mean anything, okay? The other thing is, if you're having an issue with your baby wanting to pacify on your breast, let's say you breastfeed and then they're not really sucking anymore, but you try to take them off the breast and then put them down and they're and they get fussy and they won't go down, then that's when I would recommend, and you can consider, using a pacifier if you don't already. Now, a pacifier, there's lots of different opinions on this. As long as your breastfeeding is established, and honestly, even then, pacifiers have been helpful in preventing SIDS. That I'm very pro pacifier so long as it's used correctly and so long as it's not overused. And really what that means is just that you use it to pacify them, and then once they fall asleep, we just slip it out of their mouth. and just set it aside. It's there if they wake up and they're, some babies have really high suck needs, and sucking is soothing for a newborn. And so when you pop that pacifier in your mouth, first of all, it saves your nipples. And second of all, then you could put your baby down, put the pacifier in their mouth, go pee, walk back, check on them, and you'll see the little pacifier just kind of like, and then if you can just like slip it out and that doesn't wake them, then a lot of times they'll like, and they're asleep. Okay, it's a great tool to kind of help to save your nipples and then allow to create some freedom for you, especially for those babies that have more high suck needs and they need to pacify a little bit more. So that's definitely a tip I have for you of something that you can purchase. The other thing is there are sleep experts that you can hire. I know here in LA that's very popular. I know a lot of places in the world that's not quite as popular, or there isn't as many of those types of experts around, or especially because they do cost money. So this is where there is experts out there. If you are in a place where you could hire an expert, then there are experts out there called night nurses. Now let's be very clear that a night nurse may call themselves a nurse, but as a nurse myself, I'm very particular to being able to use that word when I worked very hard for that title. And so you want to ask, are you a registered nurse? Are you a licensed nurse? Or are you more of a clinical care specialist type of like a newborn care specialist as well? That's what they would call themselves. And so they would have hopefully training in newborns. They would have their infant CPR, but then you could hire in somebody even as like survival, if you're really struggling, to come in for say a week or a night to help set some new boundaries, help you understand your sleep, and help cause you to sleep a little bit better. Now, if you had night help, what that could look like, and lots of different families do different ways of doing this. I know I've done some night nursing myself. And so what would happen is, instead of you doing all of the night routines where you're feeding, you're burping, you're feeding, you're burping, you're changing, you're swaddling, you're shushing, and then putting them down, instead, when the baby's ready, baby would be brought to you, you feed, burp, feed, off to the night nurse or the night help. Now, family members could do this as well. And so then they're kind of taking the night shift so that you're not awake for the full 45 minutes to hour that this takes. Instead, you're kind of like feeding and dozing, and hopefully safely, right? And the base of the baby doesn't fall. And then you're passing baby off and going right back to sleep. It does help protect your sleep. Now, typically a night nurse would come in for that first initial period of time, maybe for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, so on. But as far as sleep training, if you're having sleep issues or you're trying to set better boundaries, that shouldn't happen until way later, given that you have problems, right? That your baby isn't sleeping through the night and they're 2 years old or something. That's when there are experts for that as well. We have to understand their normal sleep patterns, which is why you need to watch part 1 if you haven't already, that when they're awake, they should be awake, and then when they sleep, they should sleep, and slowly, though, that night phase will get longer and longer over time. But in that initial phase, they're gonna wake up very regularly through the night. Thanks everyone for being with me here today. I hope that helps you. And I know, again, it's not a solution, but to me, it's these little tips that you can put in place where you're really prioritizing your rest, knowing that if you are resting, you are gonna be probably more present, more bonded, more positive, helping avoid any perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, all of that. Partners, make sure you're being supportive. People ask me all the time, how long should their partner take off work? And I usually say a minimum of 2 weeks. That first 2 weeks is also baby blues period of time. It's a huge transition. And so if you have help during those first 2, I would say 4 weeks if possible, again, flex and flow on what's available to you, that's gonna be really helpful for kind of getting you over that hump of figuring out your routines, figuring out your breastfeeding so that it's not so much all at once, on top of the fact that you're not sleeping quite as much. If you want more from me, you can head on over to the description box down below where you'll find my website, different classes that I offer. They're all online, on demand, unlimited access for the rest of your life, so you can watch them as many times as you want. If you're a nurse, make sure you follow Bundle Birth Nurses on Instagram. If you're not a nurse, even you can still follow them on Instagram, but you can also follow Bundle Birth on Instagram, both sides of what we do over here at Bundle Birth, which is my company. Make sure you subscribe down below, and then until next time, don't forget to flex and flow, and I will see you very soon. Bye. So first and foremost, Okay, who's winning? Yes. We're sleeping today. We are gonna help you sleep. You gotta sleep. I need to sleep. We all need to sleep. Where do we go from here? And break. You change their diaper. Next thing you're like, oh my gosh, what just happened in my life? What am I even talking about, Sarah? Happy sleeping. Good luck with that. I don't know where to go from there. That was a rough one. I don't know.